Andre and I worked in advertising. You know, he was a creative director and a writer, and I'm a director. And the first project we ever did together was actually a stop motion project, which is funny because there's a little stop motion in the film. But I worked on multiple projects with him. I worked on the job with Ozzy Osbourne with him. I worked on... he always had the craziest, most off-the-wall sort of creative ideas. And so it was always exciting. You never knew what you were going to get with an Andre project. But I asked him at one point, I said, why do you keep hiring me to direct your projects? And he's like, because you're not afraid to break the rules or jump a fence to get the shot that I need.
If I had to describe Andre in one word, it would be...
unique, crazy,
funny, talented, insane.
My plan was scrape her DNA and clone her.
But Andre is a brilliant idiot.
It's true. I'm a fucking idiot for not getting a colonoscopy when I turned 50.
First thing he said was, I have stage 4 cancer and I want to make a comedy. And I thought he was messing with me, so I was like, come on, what's the catch? What's it for? You know, he's like, no, I'm not joking, you know. And so I was like...
That was the first time that you heard anything about that?
Yeah, first time I'd heard anything about it. He just gotten diagnosed about the week before. And immediately he knew he wanted to build a team around it. He actually had recorded the audio when the GI doctor had called to give him his results from his colonoscopy. So we had that. That's the real audio in the film from the actual call. Yeah. And he said he just had this inkling that something was going to be life-changing. And so he recorded the call, found out, you know, which stage it was in, and immediately said, I've got to make something out of this. I want to bring my friends together. And that's when I got the call. So.
He also wanted to do a serious film but make it funny.
Yes.
Because he had quite a sense of humor. He talked about his sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, Andre, you know, he lived very irreverently through everything, you know, that he did. And you can see that in the film. The way he gets married, the way that he treats very important things that I think all the rest of us, you know, put on a pedestal. Andre just thought it was like, including cancer, you know. It's just part of life. It's okay, you know. So he always looked at life through that irreverent lens, but also through humor. And I think that, including things that were hard for him, you know, he'd use humor to sort of soften it for himself, but also for everyone around him, just to make it very digestible, you know.
Andre and I find humor in shitty situations.
This is sad. You got to take this seriously. Fuck that.
We're actually having fun. And I know that sounds crazy.
Come on, kids. You want to take your picture with anal cancer?
Talk about how he met his wife. I mean, that was quite unusual, and she really went along with the program.
Yeah, so some of these stories, interestingly enough, he had told me on the road when we were working together, you know, years before. And I always figured he was embellishing some of this stuff because they were too crazy, too perfect. So part of the reason I wanted to do the film, too, was to ask his wife to see if she could corroborate some of these insane... Yeah, to ask Janice if she could... Is this really how it happened when you guys got married? And it turns out everything was truthful, which... Knowing all the Andre stories, I know that's crazy and scary a little bit. But anyways, yes, his wife, you know, she had asked Andre's friend, who wasn't too into ladies, you know, if he would marry her for a green card. So, her green cards, because she was trying to see her if she was a Canadian. And he said no, and Andre said, I'll marry you. And she hadn't considered Andre, obviously. At the time, Andre had a girlfriend, and Janice, I think, was interested in someone else at the bar. And so they sort of made this deal to do a green card wedding. And I don't want to spoil too much of the film, but, you know, the rest is history, but it's a beautiful story.
If I was going to say there's a hero in this movie, it's not Andre, it's Janice.
Yes.
And you clearly constructed the movie that way. How has she responded to this film?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say Janice is the hero of the film. I mean, Andre says in the movie that he, you know, sometimes it's harder to be the caretaker than the person that's sick, and I really believe that was the case with this.
I'm afraid for the people that I'm leaving behind.
It is beautiful, funny, and it's also very sad that you have cancer, Andre.
Southern suckers!
But they also had a lot of fun together. They were on the dating game together.
Yeah, and I mean, I asked Andre and Janice and the girls at the end of the 3.5 years of filming, how has this been? You know, how's the process been for you? And, you know, what are your takeaways from the last 3.5 years, having all of us in the house filming and, you know, taking your husband away to go on these crazy adventures you wanted to go on? And Andre said, it's been the best 3.5 years of my life. And Janice was in the other room in the kitchen, and she said, I agree, same here. And so, interestingly enough, we had so much fun that it was some of the best years of their life. And I think it's because we really got to experience all emotions together, right? And so, when you go through something that intimate and that emotionally connecting, by the time you come out of it, there's really feelings of joy. And you remember even the hard times as good.
Did Andre ever say, I don't want this in? Or he saw some of the footage, right? And did he ever say, I don't want you to use that? Or can you do more on that? Or can we do it again?
He really left the edit up to me, but I will say that when I would show him clips, he loved the funny bits. Anything that had people laughing, he wanted more of. And if I showed him any dramatic clips or clips about Janice, he was like, oh, well, next.
I felt like I was getting into the best shape of my life. I lost 30 pounds, and about once a week, I would bleed out of my ass. Turns out, I had cancer.
He said it was stage 4.
It's fascinating that I am dying. One way to deal with it is to make this film.
Is there any line that he said all the time, or something he said all the time, that sticks in your brain that every day?
Oh, man. Every day, let me think. I mean, the one that came right to my mind, I probably can't say on camera.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. Can you edit this?
Yes, of course.
I mean, okay, so the first scene of the film? Can I bring this up? So, in the first scene of the film is pretty shocking. He mentions when he was a 13-year-old boy that he was furiously masturbating. Multiple times during the 3 years I was filming with him, whenever he mentioned masturbating, he always said furiously. So one day I said, why is it always furiously? And he said, is there any other way to do it? And I was like, well, maybe be a little more, take your time. I don't know. But anyways, it was probably have to cut that. But,
they call it self-love.
Yes, right. But we had this funny back and forth. We're very different in a lot of ways. He's everything on his sleeve out there, comedy. I'm a little more reserved. But I think he would always, say things to almost shock me in a way, But that's probably not the best line that Andre reminds me of, but it's one that comes to mind. I've been laughing about it recently.
Well, I hope there is an afterlife because he's making somebody laugh right now. Then.
That's right. I mean, I agree. And, we always joke about that, where's Andre laughing at us from?
Yeah.
Upstairs or downstairs kind of thing. So, I mean, even his wife says, I think Andre's laughing at us from downstairs, So. I mean, that's a little dark, but that's the humor that's carried on. One more little anecdote about how Janice has kind of carried the humor on. That's also a little dark humor, but Andre had sort of taught us over the 3.5 years to use humor to alleviate sadness, right? To sort of cut the tension in the room. And I was worried that when he passed, that humor would sort of go with him. One of the first texts I got from Andre's wife Janice was. She sends it to Lee and I. She said, worst errand ever. And you could see this velvet bag on the passenger seat. In the back, it said, there was a crematorium. I didn't know what to say. I just sat there. I tried to compose a few texts, and I was like, I don't even know what to say to this. And then she wrote, should I put a seatbelt on? And then I said, well, safety first. And then that just created this whole wave of comedic jokes. And I just loved that Janice was carrying that humor through this hard time. Because it was a hard time to lose him, but he had taught us to use humor as the medicine to get through it.